Hello and welcome to the Research 101 podcast series by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. I am Jennifer Garner, outgoing chair of the Academy's Council on Research. This series will provide an overview of the research process and provide information on Academy research opportunities. You can earn 1.5 units of continuing professional education by listening to all 6. During this 6th and final podcast, I will be interviewing Dr. Alison Steiber, who will provide an overview of Academy research opportunities. Dr. Steiber is Chief Science Officer at the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. As Chief Science Officer, Dr. Steiber leads the Research, International, and Scientific Affairs team in both research efforts, including conducting comparative effectiveness research, systematic reviews, and outcomes research. Additionally, Dr. Steiber oversees the Academy's international efforts, the development of evidence-based practice guidelines, malnutrition research, standardized language, and the Research Fellowship Program. Dr. Steiber holds an adjunct faculty position at Case Western Reserve University, and she is the author on dozens of scientific research papers and represents the Academy at key research, scientific, and policy conferences around the world. So, Dr. Steiber, thank you for sharing your time and experience with us today.
Thank you, Jennifer.
My first question for you is, research forms the foundation of dietetics practice and to all the policies that really impact dietetics practice, whether it's in a community or clinical setting, yet relatively few members participate in research. Could you provide an overview of some of the opportunities to participate in research through the Academy?
Absolutely. So, Jennifer, I think it's really important for our membership to understand that the Academy has vested a huge amount of resources, time, staff time, and financial expertise into having a wonderful, robust research team. We currently have 14 staff that work under the umbrella of research at the Academy, and we work in 3 main areas. The first area is our evidence analysis library, which is a fantastic resource for our membership, both as practitioners, but also as a way to get involved with research. And there's a number of great ways we can tap into the evidence analysis library that can help us do research. And I want to take a few seconds to explain some of those ways. So first of all, the easiest and most simple way is to join an EAL work group. And so every project that is done for the evidence analysis library has a work group that is comprised of content experts, those individuals who have information very specific to a topic. For example, right now, we are recruiting work group members for a topic of nutritional genomics for a systematic review. And so in order to apply for that, you can go to the EAL website and go under About, the About tab, which is found at the very top. And when you scroll down, you'll see Join the EAL Team, Volunteer. And when you go to that page, anytime we have an opportunity for work group members, we're recruiting for work group members, you'll see in that page how you can click on that, fill out the application, and volunteer for a work group membership. It is competitive, and you do have to fill out an application, and then we have a specific subcommittee of our Council on Research that looks at all the applications and determines who are the 6 that are most appropriate for that particular work group. So that's one way you can become involved, and it really allows you to use your clinical or research expertise in a research setting. So it's a great way to get started. Other ways that you can use the EAL to kind of leverage yourself are you can look under our resources tab, and under the resource tabs, it lists research gaps. And when you click on that, it shows you how to find all the grade 5 evidence in the EAL. And the EAL grades each systematic review on a grade 1 through 5, 5 meaning there's no current evidence from that systematic review for that PICO question that was developed. And so master's students, PhD students, clinicians that want to get their toe into research can look at those grade 5 PICO questions and begin to develop research trying to create a foundation of evidence around that particular topic. So it's a great way to dive in again. The next area that we have in the Academy's Research International and Scientific Affairs team is our practice-based research network. And I will tell you, it's kind of exciting this year. We are changing our name. We have always been the Dietitian Practice-Based Research Network, but that's a mouthful. And so this year we have the oversight group voted to change the name to Nutrition Research Network. So now we are the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Nutrition Research Network, NRN. So the NRN has a lot of opportunities for people to get involved in research. And this is such a great way. If you've never done research before, you get a lot of hand-holding, a lot of support in conducting research. And you're just one site of many, many, many that are doing research on a particular topic. For example, right now, we are just beginning to ramp up our malnutrition clinical characteristics validation study. And that is going to have a huge opportunity for people all over the country to begin to participate in a validation study on diagnosing malnutrition in hospitals. We also have another study that's in outpatient oncology that we are, I believe, just finished recruiting for sites for that pilot trial. And we have many other studies that come about. And if you want to learn more about the Nutrition Research Network, you can go to eatrightpro.org and click on research. And when you click on research and you scroll down a little bit, you will see projects, tools, and initiatives. And right there, still called the DPBRN, you can click on that. And it is a great resource page that tells all about the network, how to join for free, how often you'll get emails from them, and there's a recorded presentation that really introduces you. So even if you don't want to read, you just want to watch, you can really hear more about getting involved with the Academy's Nutrition Research Network.
Wonderful. So we have the various resources within the Academy, so people can really kind of get, like you said, their toes wet before they don't have to lead a research project, but they can help to facilitate something that the Academy is trying to do across the United States or even in international settings. It's very cool.
Absolutely.
So then, what I'm wondering with the EAL, as you were talking about that, the evidence analysis library and how individuals could potentially become part of work groups if they are content experts, could you clarify, can someone be a content expert without having research experience?
Yes, absolutely. For example would be right now the nutritional genomics. We are looking both for practitioners because every time we do systematic reviews and every time we develop evidence-based practice guidelines, we need to have the clinicians or the dietitian that's working in the field, whatever the topic is, we need their expertise. So we try to do half researchers and half clinicians. So you don't have to be a researcher to be on the work group, but you will get to hear a lot about analyzing the different papers that are included within the systematic review, why they were or weren't included as part of the systematic review. You'll get to think and hear about the researchers that are doing research in that area. So you get lots of interaction with the researchers if you're not a researcher yourself.
That makes sense. Okay, so then what, two of the barriers that people tend to cite, especially Academy members with research, is not only the cost or the barriers related to finding funding, but also sometimes the time commitment or other resources like that. So could you speak a little bit to, particularly with the EAL work groups, what kind of a time commitment that is, and if participants have to do any fundraising on their end or contribute to those efforts, or if that's all Academy-led?
Thank you for asking that. Yes, so the time commitment varies a bit from one project to the next. However, usually it involves 1 to 2 calls a month. And it may also involve looking at abstracts, reading titles of abstracts, and determining their appropriateness to be included within the systematic review, following very specific criteria that the work group has determined before the analysis started. And so those kind of activities, depending on the project, there could be just a few abstracts or there could be quite a few abstracts. So it is some time involved in participating, but it's not excessive. It's not going to take, 20 hours a week or 40 hours a week. So we try to be very transparent with our work groups members when they start the work group and give them an idea of how much time it'll really involve. Topics that have a lot of literature, like, say, diabetes or oncology or cardiovascular disease, they're going to have more literature, whereas topics that are a little more focused, that are a little more emerging in the area of nutrition science, may have fewer articles that need to be reviewed and thus significantly less time commitment involved.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So then, beyond some of these opportunities that you mentioned, and just thinking about conducting a research project in general, your members may understand, of course, the value of research, but not really feel maybe that they have the skills to conduct their own projects. So what advice do you have for such a member, and do you know of any opportunities through the Academy that they could build their research skills?
Absolutely. So, there has been studies that have looked at this. And one of the main themes that come out of those studies is that dietitians who collaborate with others, whether it's multidisciplinary collaboration or interdisciplinary collaboration, if you're a hospital dietitian or an outpatient dietitian and you collaborate with a university, any kind of collaboration seems to really foster that research being done by dietitians. And Gardner et al. Found this to be true, and others have as well. We feel that dietitians really want to do things well, and they want to do things right. And so by having that collaboration with another dietitian, maybe someone who's already done research, or even just a colleague who works, say, in pediatrics, and you both want to work on the study together. That collaborative effect really helps dietitians with their self-efficacy, with the likelihood of completing the study, and makes it a more enjoyable process. An interesting thing that was demonstrated with the Council on Renal Nutrition, which is a part of the National Kidney Foundation, was that when they did national research questions, where they got a network of dietitians together trying to answer one research question and all contributing data to it, they were able to get a much more powerful sample size and minimize the amount of work that each individual dietitian had to do. And this is really the foundation of practice-based research networks in general, is that you have one research question, then you have multiple people doing that research question. And I think that model is really effective for brand new dietitians trying to get into research. And we certainly have a very active practice-based research network now that we're calling the Nutrition Research Network. We have over 1,400 dietitians across the United States and internationally that are, for free, members of that network. And so when a study comes out, if you're a brand new dietitian who's never done any research, you can become involved in one of the studies, and they will mentor you how to do your institutional review board, what data needs to be collected. The data collection forms will be done for you. It's all kind of done in a package, so it's much easier to get started. And once you've been involved in one of those studies, then it might be easier to do one where you originate yourself the study. It's a little less intimidating when you've been through the process, where someone else is guiding you versus just doing it on your own.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it actually ties into something I was thinking about as the educational requirements for dietetics changes, or to become a dietitian. What kind of opportunities do you think there exist for dietitians in training to really amp up their research skills?
Yes, I think that's a great question. As we move toward this new model for having a master's, universities are really going to have to rethink their educational process, because in some universities, getting a master's means doing a thesis, whereas in other universities, they have a non-thesis option. And so the demand for being able to do research projects is going to be really heightened, even in non-thesis option programs, scholarly projects, everything. So, one thing that they can think about is using our tool, which is a web-based tool called the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Health Informatics Infrastructure, or much easier to say, ANDI. It's a free tool to any dietitian who's a credentialed practitioner, and you don't have to be a member of the Academy, but you do have to have the RD credential, and they can go on and they can capture data using ANDI in a very simplistic way, and then they can aggregate that data either within ANDI or export it to Excel or SPS. So it's just a great tool to help master students, to help new dietitians begin to collect data in a robust, de-identified way.
Perfect. Well, this has been very, very helpful, Dr. Steiber. So thank you again for your time and for sharing all of these different opportunities with everyone who's listening. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
This brings us to the end of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Research 101 podcast series. We hope that it has helped to demystify the process a bit and to encourage greater participation in research by Academy members. So look out for additional research resources in the coming year, and do remember that if you've listened to all 6 interviews, you can download the certificate for 1.5 continuing education credits. Happy researching!